What's going on, YouTube world? This is your man Sealz, the man, and I am back at you with another video. You know why I love this channel? It is because I love being able to promote positivity. I love being able to talk about solutions instead of complaining about issues. So I would want nothing more for our young men to grow up to be good men, real men, and not whack men. And in this video, I will be talking about just that, how to avoid the traps of being and leading to becoming a whack guy. Before I start, make sure you subscribe, comment, like, all that good stuff. And I also made a specific playlist for understanding the mind of a young man. So definitely check that out. So the number one thing that leads young men to becoming whack men is objectification, especially objectifying women. And this is highly influenced in music videos, cultures, social media, and how he was raised. To objectify is to lessen, to make less than, to lessen its value, to lessen its identity. So when young men objectify women, they are making that woman less of a woman. Her identity as a woman transforms into something else that pleases and favors the young man. So when you transfer the identity of a woman to something else less than a woman, less than human, those things do nothing but take away her value and shows your lack of respect for her. This is and will always be the wrong road to take, fellas. So let me break objectification down a little more. Objectification is usually fueled by two major feelings: power and lust. When dudes objectify a woman, they are making her less than once again. So making something less than increases your fake sense of power over her. Because now that you are not even identifying her as a respectable human being, you are virtually putting her below you. And that gives misguided men a sense of power. The second major feeling is lust. Men objectify women out of lust. Lust can be as addictive as a drug. If you are not disciplined as a young man, this drug, lust, can literally take over your life. Just like a drug, you will do anything it takes to get the feeling that lust brings. So when you go into dating situations or when you go into relationships with these women, you don't see them for who they are. You see them for the feeling that lust will bring you. And that is why these relationships never last. They are never healthy, and these ways will never help you develop to be a real man. In fact, it will inspire you to continue to go through your immature and boyish ways. No one wins from this. So my solution to this is to always lead your life with respect in the forefront. A lot of people believe that respect must be earned, and I totally understand that. But me, Sealz the man, my belief is slightly the opposite. I always lead with respect. I will always respect you first until you lose it. By living by this specific way, I will never be able to objectify something, because to objectify something is to not respect something. Objectification cannot exist with the presence of respect. And real talk, objectification leads to you being a slave to something, a malignant idol, a false pretense. And that leads to my second point, idolization. Our young men are falling victim to idolizing the streets, money, and false idols. But you know what the funniest thing about that is? Those things are the furthest from being real, from being actual. And it's so crazy and unfortunate that those are usually the things that get idolized the most, the things that aren't even real. Idolizing comes into someone's life when they have a void. And in this void, this young man feels like he needs it to be filled. But the problem with that is that young men do not look at the quality of the things he is filling this void with. So when a lot of our young men don't have a supporting family, they usually turn to the streets. The streets will give him a sense of family, but the boy is not looking at the quality of this thing he just introduced into his void. He is not looking at the quality of the thing he just filled his void with. Money is uber important to young men because they want to be able to impress. This is the age of their lives where they want to show their best faces and all the coolest things to show off to their other friends. At this time in their lives, they don't have that mentality yet of knowing that these things are not really going to matter in the long run. So when these young men don't have money, they will fill their void with anything that will give them that desired money. That's when you'll start to see young men out here robbing people, robbing their own family members, selling things they shouldn't be selling, etc. You'll see a lot of young men having a void of having a mentor, a father, or a man to hold them accountable, to show them how to become a man. A lot of men who have this specific void easily accept and fall into the trap of following a false idol. False idols talk well, they speak well, their charisma is on point. So young men who are undisciplined and immature and not developed yet are easily susceptible to these types of false idols. So the consequences of idolizing is the eventual realization that the thing you are idolizing is a shell of itself. Idolizing can definitely lead you to disappointment, which can also lead to your self-destruction, which can then subsequently lead to the destruction of others around you. This rabbit hole gets deep, man. And this is my solution to idolization. Building your self-esteem and having a support system is key to the development of a young man's mentality. Young men desperately need mentors. I mean, think about it. How can you be something without knowing how to be something? And now you're just all willy-nilly and all over the place. You're unguided, therefore you are lost. So it is imperative that young men get corrected early in their lives. Once they understand the consequences of idolizing, then they will understand that it will divert them from focusing on their own growth. The third thing that can lead a young man to becoming a disappointing man is the lack of exposure. The biggest disservice to our young men today is the lack of exposure to the things that are possible. They are not exposed to all this world has to offer. They are not exposed to what true love is. They are not exposed to what living life through faith can provide for them. And sadly, a lot of them are not exposed to what it is to live a long life. I mean, it's crazy to think that a lot of these men don't even know that it's cool to live a long life. But I cannot stand here and fault them. As the saying goes, you do not know until you know. Too many of our young men are trapped in their environments physically and imprisoned in their minds mentally. They don't even comprehend that there is a whole other world outside of their walls, a whole other life out there that they couldn't even imagine. And unfortunately, they don't even know they have a right to that life. They don't even understand that they have a seat out there with their name on it. But the lack of exposure, the lack of knowing that this thing is even out there will leave those seats unclaimed forever. Y'all young men deserve as much happiness as the next man. Never get that twisted. But how can they know if this isn't taught to them and shown to them? Exposure lights a fire in the soul. It lights a spark of electricity in your brain. Seeing things you've never seen before, tasting foods you never tasted before, going to places you never even knew existed. Exposure is enlightening. It will literally open your brain to a feeling that you've never felt before. And you deserve that feeling. You deserve a chance. So my solution to this, the lack of exposure, is to just get out. The world is so much bigger than your hood. The world is so much bigger than your room. The world is so much bigger than your expectations. So I want y'all, I highly suggest y'all to just get out, go, get out of your city, get out of your state. And I'm not saying it has to be permanent, but just take a leave of absence. And I don't want to hear the excuse of money. There are so many loopholes to cheap travel. Google and do your research. And if need be, hit me up. I will help you. Another solution to a lack of exposure is to invest in yourself by investing in a mentor, a respectable man that you can trust, someone who has been there and understands your plight, because a true leader will help you and guide you to becoming a good man. I always want to do this video, man, because I just want to inspire my young guys out there to avoid these pitfalls. Like, one of the reasons I have this channel is because there are so many misguided men out here. In my life, I've seen so many men not knowing where to go and do with their lives because they just didn't know who to talk to. So I want to be that guy for you. And ladies, if you notice a young man in your circle, in your family, in your classroom that is starting to go in the direction of these three errors, I advise you to let them know the consequences of living this type of life and what it could lead to. We as a whole have to nip this in the bud at an early age so that they do not grow and become stoned and etched into the ways of a rotten man. This is your guy Sealz the Man with a message. So make sure y'all stay blessed. Signing off. Bye.